Olá, malta. Hi, guys. It's Jessica. I want to share with you a great conversation I had with this amazing couple, Kati and Daniel. I thought that since we live in such a multicultural world where we are learning so much with each other, that could be interesting to have the perspective of this couple, funny aspects of their cultural differences. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts, or if you have Portuguese heritage, let me know as well. Let others say, oh, that's quite peculiar. I will leave all the details below about Katie's website and her channel. Katie's website is about lifestyle, manicondo, and travel. So she gives a glimpse into her life, and also she gives great tips about being more organized and more mindful. It's really worth it. We're gonna have the first part of the interview here, and then the second part of the interview in our channel. I would love to have your introduction. Where are you from? Where are you now?
Hi, Jessica. So I'm Katie. I'm originally from Germany, and right now we live in New York City in the United States.
I'm Daniel. I was born in Portugal. I lived for a few years in Germany, and I'm also here in Brooklyn in the United States right now.
What are you doing in the States?
Yeah, so we're here actually because Katie had a dream.
Yeah, I wanted to. It sounds like I had a dream. So I
love it.
Before we knew each other, like many years ago, I think so we met each other in 2011 while Daniel was living in Portugal and when I was living in Germany, and we met on the internet. Surprise, surprise, like many people meet nowadays. And then, well, first we had a long distance relationship. Then Daniel found work in Germany and he came to Germany. Later we got married. And then, because before we knew each other, I lived in the United States and worked in the United States, and I felt I wanted to go back. Mm-hmm. So it was my wish to go back, but then Daniel, it was through Daniel's work here's the ball, so take it.
Yeah, so basically when I was working in Germany, in Berlin, I was working for a German bank, and they gave me the chance to progress in my career through moving to a different place. And they asked me where I would prefer to go, and one of the places was New York, and Katie really had this will of coming to the United States. So we decided together to come to the United States.
Yeah.
That's so cool. How was it for you to, like, when you are now in the States, do you feel connected to your roots still? Like, do you see a lot of Germans or Portuguese? How is it?
This is funny because it was just Christmas and New Year. So that's like usually the most difficult time for me to not live in my own country because of all the holiday traditions. So, and I would say it's not so easy to live far away from your own culture. Of course, there are German things and there's a German community here, but because of the pandemic, things are not so easy to meet people and to connect. Even food-wise, you cannot eat everything that you could buy in Germany. So it would be very complicated. And in the end, it also tastes different.
Yeah, for me, I think it has its moments. Sometimes I feel a little bit more of saudade, if you know the word in Portuguese.
Oh, that's a good one. Can you explain saudade?
Yeah, you have to explain it to people that don't know what it means.
It's a longing for a time of prior joy, so to speak, if you could say so. It's probably not necessarily a joy from the past, but it's like your idea of a joy that could be in the present from a past, so to speak. And so you build your own idea of what your expectations for the present would have been, and that's what you would like call that idea, like saudade, so to speak. But it's mostly based on the fact that we don't have a lot of like moments where we have like big family together, get-togethers, because that's something that in Portugal is very important, especially for Christmas and also for Easter. In my family, not every family does that, but our family always meets for Christmas, like all 40 people of us. Like,
yeah, it's not just he does not have 40 siblings. It just means also That would
I
be
met,
crazy.
like,
Poor
cousins
mom.
and
Aunts and uncles and their children. So yeah, it's not the small family, but the bigger family.
Do you have this experience of like when you are walking around in another country and then you hear someone speaking Portuguese from Portugal? Do you have that feeling of like, oh, we know each other? Like you feel more connected than if you met them in Portugal, for example?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Actually, Katie sometimes even asks me, "Are they speaking Portuguese?" Because she can already recognize a little bit of language.
It's always, of course, I usually hear when it's Portuguese, but it's usually more our discussion than, oh, are they from Brazil or from Portugal? Mostly people are always from Brazil. Yeah. So if in the subway, I mean, right now not so much, but back before the pandemic, when the subway was always like filled with a lot of different tourists, then we could see, like, Daniel saw who is Portuguese or usually Brazilian from afar, and I could also see, oh, I bet these people are German. So that somehow I could see it. Somehow, I don't know exactly, I couldn't put my finger on it why they're German, but then usually then you try to be a little listen and, oh yes, they're German, we're right. But somehow you sense, oh, this must be somebody from my home country.
The cool thing is that actually around New York, there are a few spots that you can go to get like Portuguese experience if you would want to.
Some communities, like, we also have friends there in, I think in Newark, in New Jersey, and in Mineola, Long Island. So that's still New York, but not New York City. So
yeah, when we were here for our first Christmas, for example, we went to visit a Portuguese family here in Mineola in Long Island.
So they had the bacalhau, they had everything. And that was my first Portuguese Christmas. And that was so funny because, like, Daniel, back then, he eats vegan. So he does not eat fish anymore and everything. But back then, that was over 7 years ago. And then he, like, it's all the comfort food from his life, and he felt through the food it was so good, and like olive oil everywhere. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is he doing? He's like drowning the food in oil. So and for me, I ate it and I liked it, but I didn't have any memories because it's not the food that in Germany or in my home state we would eat for Christmas or for special holidays. So we always have those very different perceptions of the cultural things. It's changing for me because now I'm more used to the tastes. So, but at the beginning it was just like fish, potatoes, and the cabbage, or is it cabbage?
Yeah,
it's cabbage, right?
Yeah, it's cabbage.
And then it like that's so healthy because German food is so, compared to that, so unhealthy, because there's always cream and then a ton of meat and everything is so fatty, and of course there's some vegetables, but the vegetables are more the side, and so very different. Yeah,
it's also funny, the first time that she ate seafood, that was very, very funny.
I was so overwhelmed because it had little legs, oh my goodness, and the eyes. I was like, I just wanted to run away. And then I did not even know how to get it out of the shell, the shrimp.
Oh, which one? You were having what?
But it was
shrimps.
And what about the sapateira? The crab?
No, that one was later.
That was like
the first time she tried.
Baby steps.
No, but the worst part was like something else. And I don't even know the name. It's like some things that are live in long tubes and live on a stone. And then you have to suck them out.
Yeah.
And like,
I forgot the name.
And your dad showed them to me proudly, and I thought I will throw up because it seemed so weird to me, and I couldn't eat because it didn't look nice. But I don't know what the name is.
It's from the family of berbigão. It's usually
exactly.
Como é que se chama?
Esqueci o nome.
Esqueci.
So we have to probably find what the name was.
And we found out about what the name was. It's called Percebes.
That was when I visited him for the first time, and that was over 10 years ago, when I, for the very, very first time, I visited him in Porto when he was still living in Porto. And then we went to a seafood restaurant, and then everything came and everybody was excited, and I was just very overwhelmed because I did not know how to eat this food, because you have to imagine, that's so embarrassing, but I will admit it anyways, because I grew up on fish fingers, like the igloo, the ones in breadcrumbs. That's the fish I grew up with. of course I saw shrimps, but if I saw shrimps, they were already like peeled. So you could just eat them. And so, but then they came with all the little legs and I don't know, antlers, or I don't know what it is.
It's
Antennas. And then I did not know how to open it. And then Daniel and his sister, they taught me how to open them with knife and fork and to do it in a classy way. Took forever. Like, so the best diet ever. If you cannot get to your food, you will not eat a lot. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then they also had a hammer and was hammering like the things from so yeah. So then I thought, oh my goodness.
This is how the Portuguese take the stress off the traffic. You know, we get very stressed. So we're just like, where are you going?
But I'm so proud of myself that nowadays when I go to Portugal, I can even order a fish that still has a head and I can eat it. So because at the beginning, the fish needed to just be the fillet so that I could eat it. And nowadays it's okay. So I don't have a problem with that anymore. I'm not scared and not intimidated. So I can eat the things and I know what the things are, or I would just ask for help if I would feel overwhelmed with how to eat it in a correct way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But she also loves like the appetizers in Portuguese restaurants. I think that's one of her favorite ones.
Yeah, the olives and the cheese.
Was o queijo, azeitonas.
Yeah.
So.
Do you like also that does like there's the carrots? A lot of places do carrots. Like
carrots I never had.
We had like the traditional ones, you know, like pate.
I don't eat the pate, so that's for me.
Like
it's just
and cheese. Like
yeah. I love the pate.
And then like the little marmalada.
Yeah.
Marmalada. So yeah.
Marmalada, yeah, the sweet one, marmalada.
Yeah, and with the cheese together. So yeah, I think Portuguese culture. Oh God, we're talking only about food right now. So, but
it's okay.
So
it's very important.
This is a food video. So my first Easter in Portugal, we went to Daniel's aunt, and she has a wine like a winery. No.
A
vineyard. Sorry, yeah, that's how good my English is. So she has a vineyard. So it's yeah. So that was all very beautiful. It's like the wall behind you with the big stones. The house looks like that. The whole house. So the thing is, we were there, and then all the cousins and all the aunts and uncles and all their children, and then it started with appetizers, with olives and cheese and little meats and things and wine, of course. And then I thought, this is crazy. I'm drinking wine that they made there. So that was a new experience. And then there was a cheese, and they made a hole on top.
Yeah. And then
you could take like a spoon and take out on your little bread and eat. And then in Germany, we don't have this like that. And then we were eating the whole time, and I thought, is this the food? Because the real food will come later, but everybody's all the time eating already. So I have to be smart about space in my stomach so I can try the other food. So yeah.
That's one of those things about like being a family in Portugal, is that you get together like before lunch, and then you eat lunch for the whole day maybe.
Yeah, it's completely like that.
It's culture.
Yeah, you start around like 11 or midday, and then it just continues and continues and continues. Do you come often to Portugal?
We try to go once a year.
Yeah, that's what we usually try. So
sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you only go like every 2 years.
It's tricky because it depends. So how shall I say that? If you live in a foreign country and then you're both from the other country, and then you can visit, that's easy. But for me, it's my family's in Germany, Daniel's family is in Portugal. And then if we want to go to Europe, it would be good to visit both of them. But then it depends how many vacation days you're able to get from work. And then sometimes you can only visit one family, and then you have to go back to work again. So yeah, but our ideal would be to visit them every year, and then to go to Europe only one time and then visit both. In some years, they came to visit us. So for example, if my family visited us here, then we would only visit Daniel's family. Or sometimes one time we tried, oh, let's meet in another country and explore another country altogether. So then not everybody, Daniel's family, they're usually more open to stuff like that. Then we went to Ireland.
Portuguese always sailing the world.
Yeah, we're like, oh, where is it?
Yeah,
where is it?
But Daniel's father, for many years, says, you have to come to Azores. We have to meet there, because Daniel also has family in the Azores, and I have never been. And for the people that don't know where Azores are, it's an island that is part of Portugal, but between the continent. Okay, sorry, it's many islands. That's true. Correct. I said that wrong. So between America and Europe.
Yes,
in the Atlantic Ocean.
It has a different time zone from inland.
Exactly.
From the mainland,
difference. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that's still one of our goals, that we would not go to Portugal mainland, but that we would go to Portugal Azores and meet there.
It was like, okay, it's nice. What was the first impression when you saw that he was Portuguese?
Oh, so when in the internet, when his profile was shown to me that this is somebody I could connect with, of course I saw that he's Portuguese, and my very first thought was, oh my God, he's probably Catholic. And that's the truth. But I have to explain and give a little bit context here, because I studied theology to be a pastor, like a Protestant pastor, and I thought, oh, if I will meet this person, I assume he will be Catholic, and there could be some conflict potential from different how we see religion and everything. But then I thought, what the heck, he looks so nice and so friendly, let's just see. I mean, I don't have to marry this guy. I'm just talking with him.
And do you, like in the beginning, how did you introduce each other's culture?
I think at first she thought, because Portugal is in Southern Europe, that it was still very like old style in terms of where the man does work outside of the home and the woman has to do all the housework. And she actually asked me about that, if I was still like living with my parents, which I technically was, but at the time I was.
But you have to explain why this is.
Yeah, but the reason why that is because at the time that I came out of college in Portugal, it was like 2009, right after the crash. So there was like no jobs. So I couldn't just like get any type of job that I wanted to. And it was like a lot cheaper to stay at my parents' place. And also, but I did explain to her that my mom was a very progressive woman, and that I learned how to cook, I learned how to sew, I learned how to wash, I learned all of the stuff, and I was able to do everything by myself.
So, but this is that I was sensitive about this topic was because when I in my 20s, I lived in Argentina, and in Argentina, I mean, that's many, many years ago. It was, I think, 2003, 2004. So I worked in a very Christian religious background, and it was that if first of all you live with your family until you're getting married, and the girls still learn everything, how to clean, how to cook, how to do laundry, they know everything. And if you're a son, you don't know any usually, and of course that's very stereotypical, but that was it in that certain area where I was, and they did not know. So when somebody had a birthday and one of the guys brought a cake, his sister made the cake, or his mother made the cake, because he did not even know how to make a cake. And I told myself back then, oh, I don't want to ever like marry somebody who does not know those things, because I want that we share the responsibility. So when I learned that he still lives at home, it was like, oh God, red flag. He probably cannot even bake a cake and not do his laundry and everything. And that's why I asked him these things. Yeah. And then,
as I mentioned, I think it has to do with the fact that it happened a lot at the time, that there were still probably a lot of guys who did not know those things. But I think in Portugal, in this day and age, most guys know how to cook and do those things.
Do you see a difference between the generations? Like the first one that came to the US, and now like there's a second and a third, and like are they very different? Like, Do you spot the differences?
I think so.
Yeah, but that's
But I think
with
it
all
happens with
the
all cultures.
with like also if like they're coming from China and then like first generation American, second generation American.
Yeah, but I think
so
I think some of them are very proud of where they come from. I think Italians are screaming like we have Italian heritage, and I don't know like how is it in Portugal? Like, are they like very proud of being?
They're not very proud of being Portuguese. I think they're more. It's more like a curiosity. It's more like, oh, that's funny, because like I met somebody who was like third generation, like from Portugal. And they were like, oh, that's funny. My grandfather was from Portugal. They were from this city. And where are you from? And how far away is it from the city? And I'm like, it's like so weird questions.
It depends if the family, because if let's say the parents, if they grew up in Portugal and now they live for, I don't know, like 30 years in the United States, but they still have their other family in Portugal and every year they're traveling to Portugal, this is a different thing than somebody who doesn't have contact to Portugal anymore. So because with our friends in Long Island, they like Daniel always speaks Portuguese with them and I speak, well, but they also speak English. So it's like English with a little bit of Portuguese and then sometimes more Portuguese, depends who is there. If there are people visiting that don't speak English, then it's more Portuguese. It's always, I think what I see, it takes a certain type of person to move to another country. So usually if you're like, they're very open. So it's you know, it's just like with all of other expats, people that are open to move to another country and work hard to create a life in a country where it's not your first language, where everything is different than from your home country. It's more that we're all immigrants then. So yeah, we have things in common, but we're living here as foreigners in a new country.
Yeah, I think one thing that you can notice a lot in first generation, especially if they've been here for a long time, is that their Portuguese even starts to be a little bit mixed with English. That was one of the funniest things ever, because my father, when he came here, he was like talking to one of them and he was like listening to him, and it was like so funny how he mixes like the English within the phrase and he doesn't even notice it. It's like he's speaking naturally. Because I think we were traveling and somebody was like taking a long time in one of the toll booths, you know, like portagem in Portuguese, and he was just saying like, oh, tá lá o tipo anda toll e nunca mais despacha. E nem sequer reparou, and he didn't even notice that he was like putting an English word in the middle of the sentence because he's just so used to it.
And it makes sense that the Portuguese that have been for a long time in the US, like they do the same thing. I don't know if it happens in the UK. I think it's less this curiosity. I think I never heard about it in the UK.
But I also do the same when I speak English. Well, it's more like, because English is what I speak most, but when I speak German, I will words that are easier to say in English or faster, I will use the English words. Or often I forget German words nowadays because it's so many years that we're here. So, and then I just use the English word. So it takes me a lot of brain energy when I speak to somebody who is in Germany and always lived in Germany. I try to really speak 100% German as good as possible. But with people that are Germans and that are living here, I don't mind. It's always a mixture of English and German all together, because that's what you do when you have all the languages. Yeah. So I think that's okay and normal, but some people don't like it because they're like, oh, you're losing all your German, but then it also has to be a practical thing that works every day. Not sure how it's for you, Daniel, if you're scared that you lose your Portuguese.
No, I don't. I'm not afraid of that. I speak almost every week, if not almost every day with my family, so I won't forget it.
Again, muito obrigada, and thank you so much for your support. Até a próxima!